Well, the pandemic not slowing down one local school district. Coming up next at noon, we get a look inside Hoboken Public Schools and see how they were able to remain open 5 days a week since September. First, let's bring in Reagan. One public school district has had its classrooms open for all grades since September. Hoboken has been offering all families the choice between full-time in-person learning or remote learning. In the fall, a little less than half opted in. Well, today, nearly 70% of all students are back in school. Kayla Mamelak shares Hoboken's secret to success.
Nestled between the headlines and seemingly endless debate over how to open classrooms safely amid a global pandemic, quietly sits the Hoboken Public School District, where Superintendent Dr. Christine Johnson doesn't really get what all the fuss is about.
We have been in school full-time, 8:15 to 3 o'clock every day, 5 days a week since September.
That's for all grades, preschool through high school. Full-time in-person learning is the kind of thing that passes for abnormal these days. But Dr. Johnson says it's working.
We've had adult cases, we've had student cases, but we've stuck to our plan.
The plan all in lockstep with CDC guidelines. Face masks, social distancing, shields on desks, ventilation, and testing. Lots and lots of testing.
The pandemic forced educators onto a road for which there was no map, and I think our mindset was we need to find a way or make one.
Charles Bartlett is the principal at Joseph F. Brandt Elementary. He says last summer when Dr. Johnson first told him she was planning on getting kids back in classrooms full-time, he was on board immediately. But it wasn't the case for everyone.
I lost my brother to COVID, and it was difficult.
Fourth grade teacher Rosanna Lucignano was scared.
But I knew that remote wasn't what the kids needed.
Why?
They need to be engaged. They need to be interacting.
Still, Lucignano says there was no pressure on her to come back. In fact, Dr. Johnson told all teachers, staff, and students the decision was theirs to make. Anyone who didn't feel comfortable returning was offered remote learning.
A lot of the schools around us, they're in for completely online. Their whole schedules are different, and I've heard how much they're struggling, and I'm so grateful to be able to be in person.
That's the reaction you'll get from nearly every Hoboken student you speak with. Grateful for something most of us took for granted when we were that age.
I'm a person who asks a lot of questions usually, and it's really hard to do that on remote.
And the education staff agrees. But Dr. Johnson insists there's no big secret to their success. They just came prepared. The mindset never if they're reopening, but how.
Let's come together and come up with this plan, this very specific plan that we won't deviate from, that will allow us to do this in the safest manner possible.
As for Miss Lucignano, she's been teaching her fourth graders in person since the fall and says she couldn't be happier.
What do you say to teachers in other districts who are wary of coming back?
Come back. It's life. I mean, this is life. Like, they need you. These kids need us, and I need them.
Well, Hoboken also doesn't adhere to that controversial two-case rule in New York City public schools. Dr. Johnson says if a student is positive for COVID-19, they'll contact trace, isolate those exposed, and the class will shift to remote learning for 14 days. But they won't shut down an entire school building unless the school's positivity rate exceeds 5%, something none have come close to.
Wow, good for them. That was Kayla Mamelak reporting.